So last week, what did we do? Everybody had demos. We talked about 1.6, all the issues were done. So I believe we'll ship on Thursday because I won't skip this meeting. I have nothing. No, I think I'm free on Thursday. 1.6 harvest, screen size, and we'll talk about it. With 3, that's what we mentioned. New features today. 14 demos. So I've been surprised if Gabor or Victoria had demos.
No demos from me.
So sad. Victoria don't have demos. So disappointing. I don't have any either, I think. What did I do? I did my thing for sure. So that explains.
I can show you how you can upload videos to YouTube. You know, it's interesting.
Well, you push the upload button and then that's magic, right?
Yeah.
Anything. Right. Topics. 1.6, we'll see if something happened. We'll look at the PRs. I'm sure Victoria is here because she wants to talk about harvest.
Yeah.
And yep, and status Orchard 1, we didn't mention anything, they didn't mention anything. There was no triage meeting on Thursday. I was out. And Orchard Core, what's new? What's new? 3.7 here. This one is new. Pick first search form widget. Search form widget. Actually, it's fix search form widget. Newton Soft JSON, we saw the PR actually, we matched it. So 3.13.03. Update Microsoft Identity. Now there is a battle between Hicham and Antoine to update all the dependencies. Doesn't matter. Fixed by async usage in RecipeHarvester. Obsolete. So before get descriptor, now get descriptor async. That's the only change. Just adding async on that. And the default implements this one. Okay, naming convention. Async. Wait. Yes, why is that? Oh, yeah, I see. So yeah, this is a bad usage, and because there is no async, nobody saw the issue here, that it was not awaited. So that was bad. Interesting. Okay, so this loop was wrong. Fix. Culture picker for the admin site. There's a cookie, so you can switch what culture you see in the admin. Okay. I wonder if this call here is materialized multiple times because supported cultures is a select. So this is an IEnumerable, but probably resolved when .count is called, and probably when this thing is called again. So maybe we need a toList at least on the get supported culture. Even better if it's there, because then we get the culture info. This way we don't need to evaluate the enumeration twice, I would assume. So culture picker. feature, mkdocs update, refactor RecipeHarvester. Continuation of the previous one. Recipe extensions. Meh. That's a weird thing. Actually, I disagree with that. Because the file is named something.recipe.json. And why do we replace that part with a constant? Because the file is named this way because it's named this way, not because there is a constant with this value. If tomorrow I call it .recipe2.json, then it's breaking everything because it doesn't match anything. So this is the file name. So either this is the constant or nothing. And if, yeah, so I'm like, I don't understand why part of it only is a constant. It does. Yeah. So if tomorrow we change the recipe extension, well, we will still have to change the file itself. So not really sure that makes sense to just have the extension like this. And if I look at the code, I even have to follow what I don't even know what. Yeah, I prefer the file name before actually. Because if I agreed with that, then all the JavaScript files that we have would be like jQuery, curly brace, javascript.extension. Now we say jQuery.js. So I'm kind of, I don't like this code. Doesn't make any sense to me. Folder name, yeah, maybe. But the extension, that's so bad. Again, like you don't see javascript.extension, you see query.js. So why do we do that? Yeah, I'm like, we would prove that. I will also blame them. So 13.3.8.1. So we'll kind of prove that. We started. Hisham did, and we agree with that. That's fine. So I agree with my statement. I don't like that. I don't think it adds anything, and on the contrary, it's worse than without the constant. It's fine to have a constant when, for instance, we search for something like, okay, let's search for all the .recipe.json things, and that's the constant. But to replace from a file name. No, I don't agree. This is the file name. This is not something plus a known extension. The file name is that. So add such handler. Such handler. Okay. 393. I was wondering why you would do a search handler not to intersect all the searches. In your case, for logging. Same thing here. As I did earlier, probably the query here will be executed twice. Unless we reuse the search context. But when search is called, yeah, I don't see it used anywhere else, so. Search results. I will not do that if it's not done elsewhere. Counting can be expensive.
What would you have done?
Use the search engine, use the search to get the count if it supports that, not the query, because counting is expensive. And remember, on every pager, we have an option to say, don't count, just display 500. We can set that to prevent Orchard from counting on any query. And in this case here, it's an open query. So you could have your database go down because of that. If I do a search with a star or A or something that is very common, it will try to run this query with a count, which will actually, well, sorry, so this is this query. I don't know the full extent of this query. If it's just an is in, then Yeah, it might be an issue. It might be limited by this number, but counting will do a scan in this case. So that's why
I mean, we could, if we want, just basically return the number of content item IDs found in the search in the index instead of having to count the because what we're doing, we're returning the content item ID from the search, like Elasticsearch or Lucent, and so they can return a document ID that doesn't exist in the database anymore. So that could be the only difference, but I don't think it's an issue anyway. Like we could use that. You say a search result content item ID.
Maybe it's not up to date, but whatever. I mean, yeah, in some cases, because that's risky in terms of query.
Yeah, I'll change that.
Yeah.
I'll just merge it.
Then not expose that unless, there is because I know some providers support the count. Okay. Search provider JSON formatting documentation. Indexing. Okay. Search. Oh, for each index we can have different. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. I prefer the way how it was formatted before. It's too verbose now. Okay. Looks too much like an actual value. Almost I would like to try if it's actually working, because it might be working. Good, mkdocs update again because nobody knows, but the patch change is very important to us, right? Like 3 times in a week. Okay, about 2 weeks. 7 days. Sorry, 9 days. 3 updates. Okay, hold on. Questions? Questions?
There is at least one PR that needs steering.
At least I see 173.
It's go down. It's about adding the built-in providers.
Oh.
So I think the question here is, do we want to support all these built-in analyzers out of the box or no? Sounds like Jasmine issue is that we don't want to support them in Elasticsearch and not in Lucent. I think that's the issue that he's having. But like those are analyzers that are built in the search engine. And we're saying we only want to use the standard one. If someone wants to use the other ones, they can add them manually. So I agree that if we need to create a custom analyzer, yeah, sure, that someone has to define it, right? It's custom. But the built-in, I mean, I don't think we should limit it, but
Analyzer name. So that's the same thing here.
so analyzer name is the name of the analyzer, not the type. So we use the name when we register it in the container.
Okay, so it's different from that.
Well, it's the
No,
same thing, but I split it on 2 lines. You see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Okay,
the same
so
thing.
that's the same thing. Good. So this takes a type, and before it says use the instance.type. Now you say analyzer, and here get index analyzer name. So we have the name. From create analyzer, and this one is get analyzer. Get analyzer.
Well, because the analyzer, if you look at the if condition that's in there, it depends. If it's a type, if the type is custom, then we can't pass the word custom. We have to pass the actual name that the user defined. So when you create, you know, XYZ analyzer, you have to pass XYZ to the search engine, not the word custom. And type will return custom. So if it's a custom analyzer, we're going to pass the analyzer name. Otherwise, we're going to stick with the analyzer type, which returns the type, the built-in name.
Because there is a get index analyzer. This returns the name from the settings. And the create I'm not reading that because I don't want to be influenced by that. I want first to see what I would think. And I will look at the argumentation here. I like this, but I don't understand then why. Custom. Because if we have this, we don't need custom.
Well, you can still create your own custom analyzer.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If you create your own, then you can register them like this. So
correct.
there is no place for custom string.
Correct. And we don't. But when yes, you do.
Well,
when you create a custom analyzer, if you look at the actually updated document here, if you go look at the release notes in the same PR, you'll see, or actually the README file, you'll see where I put an example how to create there you go. So if you want to create a new custom name called English Analyzer, right? Then it's a type of custom. So it's a custom type analyzer that it's called English Analyzer. And then you can put your specification and then register it. So you see how it's if line 244, it's a custom analyzer.
Yeah,
so the type is custom. It doesn't matter what you call it. The type is always custom.
No, what I mean is the string custom.
Correct. The type. So analyzer.type is custom.
Analyzer name.
And an analyzer name will be English Analyzer.
Yeah, this is a bad comment, because when I see double quote here, I see a string. This is what I read when I read this code. When I read that comment, I read custom string. So what I think when I read that comment is that you need to put the custom string as the analyzer name, such that, oh, because you said custom, actually, I will actually load the type from somewhere else instead of, of just resolving it by name. No, that's not it. That's not what it is. That's exactly what I want to be, which is we have named analyzers. These are the default. That's weird. These are the default names. And then you can add custom names. So we register supported analyzer, like we register supported cultures, and we register them by saying, when you use this name, then this is the instance you need to use. Okay, so that's what I read, correct, which is okay. I will not do it this way, I will do so. First, why are the names like this and not like this?
Like what?
Simple. Simple instead of simple space analyzer, uppercase, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we can rename that. It's not an issue. I just try to stick with what we have because today we call it standard analyzer, so I just kept the same thing.
So I think that you can use this value as the display name if you want, but you should keep to the names from Elasticsearch and others, like technical names, because this will be documented. How do they know otherwise? I mean, here you can say, okay, they can know because that's the same value as Elasticsearch is documented, but we need somewhere to set the value, so we can use technical values instead of these English values.
We'll just call it simple without the end. So we'll just drop the space analyzer at the end.
Well, I will just, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying use the values that are used in Elasticsearch. Like simple white space. It happens, okay, maybe it happens to be without the space analyzer in the end, but what I'm saying is that use that things, the things that are in gray, whatever they are.
Yeah,
Stop, keyword.
That's what I'm saying. If we drop the space analyzer, it will give us exactly that.
That's an implementation detail for me. The fact that you will remove the space, because I don't know, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe maybe fingerprint is called finger PRT. I don't know. And just So we agree. So these are the default ones that you define. That's perfect. Then so first comment. Okay, so I will. Then I will add another comment. A few other comments here. Where is that? The factory, which is not the factory. Here. So what I would say here is something like, instead of use an analyzer, because here you are registering the analyzer. I'm not sure you can. That works, but is standard analyzer thread safe? I will assume that you don't know. I don't know either. Maybe not. because you're passing an instance, and imagine you have maybe 2 threads that are indexing or using the same analyzer at the same time. You don't know that it's thread safe. So what you should do here in this case to be sure, and not just for this reason, because then maybe you don't have to instantiate an analyzer when you don't need it. Like maybe we will never use a fingerprint analyzer. Why instantiate it? Maybe a language analyzer is super expensive to build and to keep in memory. Why do we instantiate it? So for all these reasons that we don't know the answers, there is a simple answer, which is just pass a factory. So like a new standard analyzer. Okay. And this way, an analyzer is described as a simple name and a factory, and you invoke the factory when you need it. If you need to keep the analyzer in memory somewhere in singleton or cache or whatever, you can, but it is not the concern maybe of this one to give you an instance. And if it needs to give you an instance, then it can still, instead of doing new, do some caching internally. So this way you delegate the behavior, the responsibility for what is.
So just convert that to action instead of actually creating the instance. Okay.
Yes,
that's fine. That makes sense.
And maybe we can pass arguments. I don't know. Maybe there is an index name to pass that it can use or not. I don't know if these analyzers, they can, some of them accept some parameters that we know, but probably not, but just that allows also that to parameterize how it's generated. So that, what else? Get analyzer name. This is interesting. So what is the analyzer name?
It's the same code up top repeated 2 times, and all we're saying, if there is a settings, if there is a settings in the database,
I see.
We're going to grab it. Otherwise, we're going to use a default.
Okay.
And I am migrating that old name, that standard analyzer. So I hard coded that value so we can hopefully change it, down the line. So we're using standard instead of standard analyzer.
So the name. Why do you mention that here? Oh,
because it's hard coded. It's legacy.
So if document try get value.
Like if someone is still using that in their database, that's really the default. So we're still going to fall back on the new default, which is called standard. If we take the F line, then it's a breaking change because some people have to change it.
Standard. So today.
Guys, why do we want to add all these analyzers? This is what I had on as a comment there.
I didn't read your comment on purpose. I didn't read this discussion.
That's a debate that he's going to answer soon, Jasmine.
I'm looking at the PR and commenting on what I'm seeing. And so are you saying that you don't want to see that?
We don't need those because those are used as part as custom analyzers that you would create inside Elasticsearch. You base your custom analyzers on those because they're provided, because you can't create them because it's a distributed service. So they created basic analyzers that you can use to create custom ones with them. Like normally you would use
not
a
entirely
language
true.
Yeah, entirely true.
They exist because you can use them, but you can still combine more than one to create a new one.
With custom
right?
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what custom
but why do you want to add them? I don't want to have them. I want to have the standard analyzer by default added, but not those because I don't need them.
You don't need them.
Yeah, Jasmine, I'm not sure you're talking about the same thing, but let me see. I will look at the documentation and it says the keyword analyzer is an open analyzer, accepts whatever text is given. Why wouldn't I want, like, there isn't this analyzer here. I'm sure it makes sense for somebody to say that in a specific index for specific fields, they should use this analyzer. I'm sure you will have some content. Well, this one I disagree with. I agree with you just now on this one. But this one, for instance, can't we use it as is for index?
Yeah, but why would you want to use it as is? I mean, it's a basic analyzer.
Yes,
you want to configure that.
So how is it configurable? This one.
Because you're not seeing the documentation about
I'm
creating custom analyzers. If you look at the documentation about,
I will look at it after.
Yeah,
I know what a custom analyzer is.
Yeah,
I'm looking at this one. Sure. Keyword analyzer. How can I configure it?
In the query, you just pass a keyword.
You create an analyzer on an index. You use Kibana.
That's not my question. How is this instance of an analyzer, the keyword analyzer, configurable? Can I pass colors to it? Can I pass age? Can I pass languages? There is nothing to pass to it, right? It's just give me the keyword analyzer. That's the instance. So there is, oh, thank you, is not configurable. So it actually answers my question. The keyword analyzer is not configurable. So it's used as is, which means it has some behavior as is, okay? Why would nobody on earth want to use the keyword analyzer as is? Not changing anything out of it because this is what they need. They need the keyword analyzer without specific configuration, just as it is. I think there are people who might want to use a keyword analyzer. Like, don't split anything.
Yeah, but see there what he does. Rebuild keyword, he names it. Then tokenizer, keyword. Then he created an analyzer, which is named rebuild keyword. It's not configurable, but he created one for himself.
That's how it works.
And then no filter. Yeah, this is how you create an analyzer.
So what you say here is that, look, the put, for example, okay, put document, and it says, let's use a custom analyzer that is based on this one, tokenizer, okay?
Not configurable, fine. No filter.
Can I say analyzer keyword?
Because the idea is that we need to be able to create those analyzers on each of these index. So we need to be able to create them from code.
And that's okay.
Then you will need to name them and probably use elasticsearch.net to create those analyzers.
Yes, it's extensible.
Using these there is just, for me, it's kind of just like adding analyzers that I can't create by myself.
Yes, but I will give you 10,000 examples in Orchard where there are default behaviors that you could also create by yourself, but we provide them by default. You can just name them.
It's not what we did with Lucene, and we can also add a lot of analyzers that is provided with Lucene, and we didn't.
But we didn't because nobody did it? Or because we said we should not do that?
Because we shouldn't have done that. Because I remember that I created the French one, and we did say that it should be just provided as external modules. It's because
we need to add more.
It's per need. I mean, for me, I needed to have a lowercase filter then. I added that.
We didn't add the French one because it was in a different package.
No, it's
Maybe.
it's pretty much in the same package.
No, there is not pretty much with it's in the same package or it's not. It's either in or not.
It's in Lucene.
But not in the same package, probably a different, like if I look at NuGet scene.
You can take a look at my repository. Maybe I'm making a mistake there, or the library itself, but
Scene doesn't work.
at the same time here, the difference is that Elasticsearch is a service, distributed service, so you can't really create analyzers.
Yeah, okay. So
else
that
than these.
okay, that I now I get. So that's a good point. And that I don't want to think about the rest just because of this point. Let me think.
So another thing with the analyzer is that you can use them to query, right? Not just to index your table, but you can say search, right?
Well, you
I don't care what you, well, right now you do, but I'm just saying you can use the analyzer to say, hey, I don't want to use the stop words, right? So you can use the stop analyzer, right? And you don't have to, like, you will remove the A, B, all these, common words, you can automatically remove them to improve your search. But if we don't include something like the stop analyzer, now I have to go on my own module and add the stop analyzer as is, just because it's available.
Okay.
No, because you're in your query, you will specify which analyzer that you want to use, and you will have created that one inside Kibana. You will have created that on that index so that you can use it.
Also, you need to use the same analyzer for the query and the storage.
Yeah, normally this is what you're supposed to be doing.
If you don't, then you will have issues. So people always do that. You have to index the same way you query, because if you index this is the president, when you index with an analyzer, you expect just president to be there. This is they are all removed by the stop analyzer or whatever. If you do a query, find this is the president, and you don't use the same analyzers, then it will search for this is the president. And it won't be in the index because it was removed. That's why we need to use the same analyzer for the query and for the index.
Which is fine, which is what we're doing today.
There's one case where it's like if you would have used the keyword analyzer from the start, and then you would specify different analyzer in each of your queries. Elasticsearch allows for that, but it's really not really optimal. I mean, it's not as fast as if you're indexing from the get-go in the beginning. So you can't pass an analyzer on a query.
I want to come back to a previous comment from Jasmine that will invalidate the full PR. So that there is no point in discussing a PR if we have an argument that says no, PR invalid. The argument is Elasticsearch is distributed, meaning we have the Orchard instance and we have the Elasticsearch instance. When you send a document to Elasticsearch, the Elasticsearch process is doing the indexing. Okay, which means any behavior here, the keyword analyzer, the standard analyzer, the my custom analyzer I have in my module, everything needs to be executed by the Elasticsearch instance. So if you agree with me, that means all these things isn't completely useless, which is probably the comments that were there, because there is no point into instantiating that, because this instance will never run on Orchard. It is run by Elasticsearch.
Yeah.
That's your point, Jasper?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean.
Does it make sense, or do you?
Well, I mean, it does, but it doesn't, right? Because if I want to query, when I build, okay, forget Elastic, right? If I'm using Orchard Core, the admin UI, right? I go and create an admin, right? And I create an index in the admin. for something specific. But this index, I want to make sure that I use key stop analyzers, because I do not want to index or let the users searching by the a blah 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 blah. Right? Today I can't. Right? However,
you're
that's
right.
but
You're
that's
right.
not
but hang
PR.
on, Jasmine.
We agree.
Jasmine, give me. Okay,
Yeah.
but
let him finish, Jasmine.
Yeah.
So from the drop-down menu right now, there's only a standard, so I can only use standard, right? There is no other option in Orchard that allow me to change that. That's the only way I can change that, right? Which I think it makes sense, because if you rebuild your index, you rebuild it based on the analyzer. Now, if we add another option for the stop, right, and then we rebuild the index, well, the index is going to be rebuilt, and any new query that comes along will also use the same analyzer. So now my analyzer, or my new index, is utilizing the stop analyzer, which is what I want, and I don't want to use the standard in this case, right? Now, standard by default is there. That's exactly fine. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, Jasmine, and I'm sure what Jasmine wants to say, I will say it. It is, yes, we agree with your statement. This PR is not solving what you are saying. The problem statement you just described, we totally agree. And I'm sure Jasmine agrees. We need to be able to define what analyzers we want for each index and for the queries. I agree. But this PR is not doing that. This PR, because I just see that, is trying to instantiate that. You can solve your problem, which we totally agree with solving, but this is not the code to do. What you need to do is to maybe add a list of potential analyzer, but just the names, not the classes or whatever, or the types or whatever, just the names, like just the string standard, simple, white space, stop, keyword, pattern, and fingerprint, because the solution to your question is not this PR, is to provide a drop-down with all these values, maybe and more, but at least let's say there is all these values. And then when we create the query that will be sent to Elasticsearch, we include the value that was selected in the UI, just the name, because that's what Elasticsearch understands. We send the value. And then we should be able to create custom analyzers by not just selecting the list from the admin, but to be able to add a custom one where we will provide some kind of JSON like this, or in the configuration, like you could define in the configuration, like in the PR here. Where is the documentation? Perfect, here. So we could have something like that in the configuration, where you say, my custom analyzer is based on lowercase stop. Okay? The same way you do that here. And this will be a configuration. And this will be what we send to Elasticsearch, just the JSON like this. Jasmine?
It's a builder for an analyzer that we need on each index. So
but you agree
basically
that
what you're, it's exactly that. Yeah.
So we just have nothing to implement in terms of analyzers in Orchard for Elasticsearch. The PR you are sending here, Mike, will be better in Lucene than in Elasticsearch. Because if we were to use Lucene, yes, we will need to instantiate those things, and we could create our custom types, but in Lucene, not in Elasticsearch. We can't create a custom type for analyzer in Orchard for Elasticsearch, unless Orchard was in Java and we could send Java to Elasticsearch, but we can't, because all these analyzers are in Java for Elasticsearch. But this PR, you would do the same thing for Lucene and it will work for Lucene. For Elasticsearch, it's a totally different solution.
So I guess what okay, maybe I'm confused now, because right now we create the settings menu, we actually look at all the register analyzers, and that's how we populate that menu. Are you saying, in addition to that, we need to hard code, simple, white space, stop? Is that what you asking here?
So today, you say that we look at the analyzers that are existing to populate the string, the list?
Yes.
In Elasticsearch?
Correct.
That's not the most straightforward way to get the list of analyzers. That's weird. That works by chance because it happens that Elasticsearch uses the same names as Lucene, which we use. But that's why it works. I think we should not even list the analyzers. This is the purpose for Lucene. For Elasticsearch, we should have a hard-coded list of values because they are not linked to our own types of analyzer that we have linked to. So
well, but we still want to support custom, right? So
yes,
you
yes.
want, if someone wants to register their custom, you want the menu to be.
Yes, but like this. So what I'm suggesting is change the configuration for Elasticsearch, the options for Elasticsearch, okay, the options, such that we have a list of default values in the options that we don't need in the option, actually. We have a list of default list in the code that is this list, okay, standard, simple, white space, blah, blah. And then in the options, we have a custom section to provide custom analyzers with custom names that is using this specific format here. So I like to be able to see exactly that thing in the options of Orchard for Elasticsearch called custom analyzers or analyzers. And then instead of analyzer here, we will have analyzers, which will be an array of a name like this, exactly like this. And then this thing that says you are based on this tokenizer and this filter and whatever. And in the UI, we will list all the standard ones plus the custom ones, rebuild keyword, simple, standard, and so on. So you select the ones you want, either the standard ones supported by Elasticsearch or the custom ones that we have added in the options. And when, okay, and then in the code, we don't have that anymore. It's just that
so in the code, you're saying to read the options, and based on that, we create the custom instances.
No,
on the
we don't create any. We create custom JSON to send to Elasticsearch. We don't create any analyzer instance. We just send strings, JSON strings to
the API.
So you're saying we don't even need to do a new custom analyzer? Because I think that when you create, well, I think when we create the index, we actually look at that. There's a code reference in there.
Maybe it's doing that today. Maybe it's creating an instance, but it's useless because it's Elasticsearch. It's just a copy paste. It's just because there is maybe the same structure in Lucene, and we try to reuse the same structure, but it's useless in Elasticsearch. We just use it for the name, probably.
Yeah, it's a dictionary of names. It's just names of analyzer in the dictionary that is kept there. So, yeah, exactly. It's not useless because it could be useful, but I kept it there.
For Lucene, but if it's in Elasticsearch, you can remove the code. Nothing will be broken for sure.
Yeah, because
it's just a bad design.
Yeah, we needed to have a standard analyzer, a default one. Yeah.
Where is Elasticsearch? And am I not in Tools?
And I took a look with Lucene for the French analyzer. It's the same library. It's Lucene.net.
So where should I look for stuff? Services, index name, term, search index, search async.
The Elastic Analyzer Manager. Elastic Analyzer Manager is where it reads the options today, and it creates the analyzer options.
And where is that?
That's in the elasticsearch.core.
I don't want to add complexity here, but there's another way to do this, and I mentioned it on the request or the issue that Mike did. We can also create index templates in Elasticsearch, which creates analyzers for all the index that they need them. So you create the analyzers once inside an index template document, and then you apply this on every index that you need those analyzers to be used. So that's another way, and it's more in par with what Elasticsearch does normally, because when you want to manage your Elasticsearch instances, you're going to create templates for reusability. So
yeah, that's advanced Elasticsearch. If we can at least have that working for ad hoc indexes without templates, that's weird. So I will just, it's 1 hour already. I will just comment that can't use analyzer instances.
See, when we create an index in Elastic Index Manager, I'm looking at the code. What we need, like if we create a custom analyzer, we actually need to pass the instance of the iAnalyzer, which is custom analyzer. So we need an instance of it to be able to pass it.
That works, but that's a mistake. We don't. That works. Okay, we don't need to type the instance or whatever. Maybe it's a copy paste from Lucene and it was working, but we should just have a string or a JSON document here.
If you look at Elastic Index Manager, maybe I'm not explaining it properly, but we have to create an analyzer descriptor.
So
look
Elastic
up Index Manager, line 72. And go to 72. So you see that that's when we create the index. We have to create the custom analyzer, right?
yes, it could be there.
Yes, line 73. That's when we, I think, define the analyzer.
Name.
But you can create the analyzers after having created the index too. And when you rebuild the index, it's going to just use the new analyzers. So yeah.
But what I'm saying, in order for this code to work, we have to configure custom analyzer, like when we register it.
When we create an index, it should create the analyzers, but we could have also a method that is used to create the analyzers directly on a multiple index at the same time.
I don't see where we have an analyzer. I see.
So we say current analyzer. So you're finding the analyzer from the analyzers, right? Analyzers are basically, I think, a list of the configurable.
Yeah.
Let's see what the analyzer.
Elastic.
When you do get analyzers, it returns a dictionary of strings. See?
Dictionary and iElastic analyzer,
yeah,
which is
type and
name and an iAnalyzer.
Which has a type. Yeah.
Well, that is used. I don't know what if it's necessary. Maybe it's for Lucene, but Nest. Oh, this is a thing from Nest. So this is just, I mean, this is just a description of an analyzer.
Mm-hmm.
You remember, Mike, when I said, you can have the name if you want as a display name and the standard name. So maybe that's what this thing contains, nest iAnalyzer.
He's using that create analyzer instance to create an instance of the iAnalyzer, and then he passes it down to the analyzer descriptor, which then creates that when the index is created or rebuilt.
Yeah, I've not seen any documentation in elasticsearch.net about that, but yeah. That works. That would be nice. It should normally. Writing analyzer.
Yeah, it's just a Fluent API to build the JSON.
And we don't really, but yeah, you can use that. Pretty sure.
But there is no point in our case, because in the end, you see, it will just create those JSON. That's why I'm saying,
yeah, it's
just
passing
put the JSON
yeah.
in the option, and then we read the JSON and we send it back.
Yeah. But everything elasticsearch.net does is in the end an API request.
Yeah, I think so looking at that line 72, we're using user-defined method, but really if we want to create a custom, we can create a method called custom or keyword or language. There's a method built in there. You see that line 73 where it say a.useDefine. So
Yeah,
instead of user defined, we can utilize like a different like pattern. There's a symbol, and there's a stop, white space. So based on the options in the configuration, we can call the corresponding method. Probably.
No, don't do that. What you do is you write that in the option. That's the exact end result. But it's much simpler to just write that than to write something like this, which will write that. It's just that they provide an API in C# to make sense of that JSON like this. But it's easier for us to configure by writing the JSON in the option file than having to write a module to call the thing that will create a JSON file. So there is an object.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to take the JSON, right?
Yes,
I mean, I'll
take the
give you an
JSON.
option where you can write it. Right, you write it, no problem. But then we have to translate that into
To
the
analyzer?
descriptor and analyze a descriptor. So
Okay.
that way, if it's a custom, Elasticsearch knows how to create it there. Right? At the end of the day, the JSON is just instructions.
I'm pretty sure there is a way to go from the JSON directly to an iAnalyzer, because they have to serialize it also in the JSON. Nest has to take the thing, so there must be a way.
Yes.
Take the JSON, get the so.
Yeah, I played around with these, so yes, the answer is yes.
Okay, to be continued later. 1 minute topics for anyone else. You had your minute, Mike. Now who needs a minute? I see so many people join. Oh, they are all late because they don't read Twitter or they don't read Gitter. Victoria, you were first. Harvest, done, beautiful. No breakfast.
Almost done. Yeah. So you say that I was asking for an offer for the breakfast because I saw it on the previous schedules that you had breakfast.
Maybe if it was cheap and we had time. If you say we don't have time, then we don't have time, and we have less money, so that's fair. We had a breakfast. Where did we have breakfast? Antoine, did we have breakfast anytime at any conference? I don't even remember.
I have the agenda of Amsterdam before
Amsterdam.
me. Yeah, and I also saw another one maybe from New York, I think,
No.
where you had, but at least in Amsterdam I can see it. So this is why I thought that we should have breakfast.
No. Useless.
Okay.
We can have a snack
Okay.
or snacks available for the audience
Yeah.
when they want to pick something, but not a breakfast time and breakfast thing, because that's lots of waste and of time, of space.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We will. There will be some snacks and coffee and
That's
lunch.
good. Yeah, yeah. Coffee available, snacks available when people want. When we take a break, that's fine. But
Yeah.
that's
okay. And another thing is that so I wanted to ask if there is any other problem or any other comments on the venue. So that I would like to fix this with Becky, because as I wrote to you that now she agreed that the projector is the best option, and she will make sure that we will have one.
so.
So is there any other problem or any other comment?
Who from the meeting will go to Las Vegas? Jasmine, you said no. Mike, you said yes because you're local. Dave, I assume. Dave, yes or no?
I am not sure yet.
Okay, Victoria.
Yeah, we have to make them sure to come.
No,
I
I'm asking
understand.
you. I'm asking you.
Oh,
You don't know.
Yeah, I also don't know. Yeah,
Gabor, do you know?
I hope so.
You hope.
I
Okay.
can.
Antoine, not
I will see
sure. Okay. Just to
Yeah.
have
And one more question for you. So I know that you saw my last email. So can I expect an answer for the .NET Foundation?
Yes,
and
I sent them an email again yesterday, because when I sent them the email 2 weeks ago, they said they were busy and they will look into that. So yesterday I told them, did you have time to look into it? So I pinged them again.
And also about the account for the ticket selling.
I need to give you the account. Oh,
yeah, because last
I
week
see.
we
No,
were
yeah, okay. I will give you access to the thing, and with that we also have access to the people who registered, and if they agree to receive emails and everything, because you can say I don't want to receive email for next time or whatever. So that we have this setup. Okay, so I will do that. If I don't do it by tomorrow, you send me another email every day.
Okay. And another thing, the two things, I don't know if you have seen, it's for all of you, that Zoltan is posted in the GitHub channel. He actually tagged you as well, but I will copy. I have copied it into the chat now. If you can check it, so please, all of you, it's about the web presence, tweeting and announcing it on many places. He collected a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll announce and tweet and share when we have the site or and the event page. Okay.
Yes, and I wanted to ask if you could share me some tips about how to gather people for the presentation part, because I would like to start that as well, since now we will have the venue.
Sorry, to do what? I didn't get it.
The people for the presentation part. So what should I take into consideration, or do you have any tips about the topics, what we should address?
Call for speakers.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
The call for speakers?
Oh,
Are you,
don't understand.
what, no, I don't know what you are looking for.
For the presentations during the conference. So do you have any tips about the topics for the presentations?
Tips for topics? Well,
Yes.
there is no tips to get topics. The only thing we do is who wants to talk about what? And then based on what people say they want to talk and about what, we say, yes, we like you, so you will talk about it, or we like what you want to talk about, so we'll let you talk about it. So that's what we call a call for speakers. There are sites for that we can do, but usually on the website, there is a form where when there is a website, there will be a form where people can say, I'd like to talk about this topic at your conference. And then a few weeks after we say, okay, thank you. And if you talk,
I already have some people who said it in the survey that they are open. And if I can see it's about 45 minutes for one presentation. I mean, it was at least
45 is good. 1 hour is too long, 30 is too short, 45 is good.
Okay.
Sometimes we can say 1 hour and a half. I think Sipke one day got one because it was a big topic, and it depends.
Yeah, I can see that some of
when
them
we define the
are,
schedule, when we have the list of people that want to talk, we can organize that. But we should start with, let's say, 45 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. That was my questions, and I will write you tomorrow if I don't have the answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions and comments? All good then. So see you on Thursday for triage and release of 1.6. That was a short meeting for some of you. That was a long one for the others. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.